All right, welcome back, everyone. I wanted to get you guys' opinion or your predictions, I should say, on who you think is going to win the Oregon State game versus Colorado. I know Oregon State is ranked number 16th. Later on in the day, after I've done some reading and done some research and done a little bit of soul searching internally, I'll give you guys my prediction. The last prediction that I gave when Colorado played against UCLA, I gave two types of predictions. I gave a prediction with my brain, with logic, and I also gave a prediction from my heart. This time I'm not going to do that because I think that doing that, people may perceive me as being a person that's hedging my bets, so to speak. I'm not a betting man, I don't gamble, but it seems like I'm playing both sides of the fence, and I don't want to come across as that. I believe Colorado could be, I think Oregon is probably the only game that they got shellacked. Like, they just got demolished, in that game. However, I think they could have won every game that they've played. And this is not me being biased. They're that talented. I just don't believe that the coaching, particularly Coach Prime, is using the team in the correct way. He's not using all of his talent. Again, he's predicated on his only son, well, the quarterback's son, Shedeur Sanders. And that's a problem. A little bit of nepotism is in there because you're not worrying about the well-being of the team. You're just concerned about your goal, and your goal is different from the team, and that's the problem. It's one thing to have a goal that's team. If you have a goal that encompasses the entirety of the team and takes the entirety of the team as a whole into consideration, then yes, it can work. But if you have a goal that's separate from that, you have a particular goal that's selfish, that's I-centric, that's me-centric, that's myopic, that's narrow-visioned, that's tunnel-visioned, and you're only thinking of one thing, like getting your son the Heisman, then that becomes problematic for a football team. I'll tell you that right now, or any team sport. If your individual accolades or your individual goal of either stat padding or trying to achieve something particularly for yourself, and you're putting that as the major priority over your team, then that becomes a problem. That becomes a problem. So when I make my predictions, the reason why when I made my last prediction against UCLA was because I said logically, if Colorado kept on doing the same things that they've done in the past by passing the ball too much, overly dependent on the pass versus mixing in runs and pass, then I told you that they would lose. I thought Cormani would play well, but Cormani didn't even hardly play in that game. However, the defense played well. The defense had 4 turnovers. So a lot of the things that I predicted were true. It's just that if Colorado did what I thought they should do, they would have won. But they reverted back. I wouldn't even say revert, because revert makes the assumption that they moved away from what they normally do. They haven't changed their modus of operandi. They've been doing the same thing game in, game out. It hasn't changed. Drop back pass, shotgun Shedeur, short passes, short slants, RPO. They may run Dylan Edwards down the middle. They may throw in another running back in there to run a play or two. I mean, it's pretty predictable. It's pretty predictable. If I was a scout, if I was a person that watched tape, I could figure out Colorado easily and know what they're going to do. It makes them easily a team that's easy to stop. So with that being said, so my predictions are always based on they're always coming from 2 reference points. The reference points have to deal with my heart, because my heart says that if they do the right thing, they could win. My heart says that this team could be either undefeated or at worst one loss team, and that one loss would have been to Oregon. That's it. I think Oregon just shellacked them. I just think they weren't ready for Oregon, and I think it was an eye-opener. I thought after that Oregon game that the Colorado Buffaloes would kind of change their philosophy in terms of their offensive scheming and the type of plays that they run, the approach that they take on the field, but nothing changed. It seems like they elevated whatever they were doing. They increased it. So if they were passing a lot before, they became even a more pass-happy team. And that's a problem. So, but this time I'm not going to make a heart or logic prediction. I'm going to just make one prediction. It's going to be predicated on logic. But all you guys know what I feel about, how I feel about Colorado. I feel like they're one of the top teams in the Pac-12. I feel like if they utilize the entirety of their team in terms of the talent on the offensive side of the ball, they could be a one-loss team. But that's a lot of ifs. I shouldn't have to do that. So I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to just make my prediction. But I'm not going to make it now. I'm going to make another video after I've collected data, and after I do some soul searching. Because deep down, I really hope that the philosophy changes. But everything that I've been looking at online has been, Coach Prime looking to get offensive linemen. And I hear and I see other social media channels talking about, there's another great offensive line recruit that's coming to Colorado. The message that's being sent, and I'm not an idiot, and you're not an idiot either, and I'm not going to even insult you guys' intelligence. What that's saying is that Coach Prime is not going to run the ball. He's hell bent on showcasing what Shedeur can do. He wants to prove to the entirety of the college world or America or the sports world that, hey, look, my son is great. And if my son had a great offensive line, he could throw for 500 yards every game and 4 touchdowns. We get it, Coach Prime. We get it. As great as Caleb Williams is, he still has some stinkers. He's human. He still has some games where he does not play up to his standards. We get it. Your son Shedeur is good. What I'm believing and what I'm drawn to conclude based upon the information that I've been gathering while looking online and doing some research, I feel as if the message that's being sent from Colorado and Coach Prime is that once I get the lineman that I want to protect my son, I'm gonna stick more with the passing game. Because you don't hear anything about linemen coming to open up holes for the running backs. The whole narrative is about Shedeur. It's no longer Colorado Buffaloes. It's Shedeur Buffaloes or Prime Buffaloes. And that's a problem. No coach and no player should be bigger than the program. No matter how inept Colorado was last year with the 1-11 record, with all that being said, we still have to put respect on the fact that they are a university. They do have a college football program. And no one person is bigger than the program. And what I'm seeing happening here with Colorado Buffaloes since the inception of Coach Prime and Shedeur, it's been about them. It's been about getting linemen to protect Shedeur. What about just getting linemen just to block, period? I mean, last time I checked, correct me guys if I'm wrong, football, there are running backs, right? Running backs do exist. I mean, we do have Hall of Fame running backs that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame. We do have college running backs that have won the Heisman. Running backs are a part of the offensive scheme, right? That's no different. Let me flip the script to you guys so I can paint the picture a little bit more clearly for you guys to understand. Let's say Coach Prime had a son that was not the quarterback, and let's say his son was the running back. Let's say Alton McCaskill was his son. Let's say his name was Alton Sanders. And Alton Sanders was the son of Coach Prime. And then, let's say Shedeur was still on the team, but Shedeur was not Coach Prime's son. But we all, with the eye test, can see that Shedeur is a good quarterback, right? Just like with the eye test, we can all tell that Alton McCaskill is a good running back with the eye test. Just look at his highlights from U of H. Just don't judge him off the season because they did not use him. The small sample size of Alton McCaskill this year is an injustice to his talent. They completely wasted that guy's talent this year. So let's flip the script, okay? Let's say Shedeur was just Shedeur. Let's say his last name was Shedeur McCaskill, and then Alton was Alton Sanders, and let's say the running back was Coach Prime's son. Okay? And let's say every game that they play, Colorado runs the ball a lot. They barely pass, and when they do pass, they're mostly doing screen passes to Alton Sanders. Because Coach Prime wants to showcase that his son is a great running back. But we all know, we've all seen highlights and footage of this quarterback named Shador. He's real good. He can pass. He's accurate. He's a pass-first quarterback. He has very calm feet in the pocket. He doesn't get rushed. His feet aren't jittery. He's confident in his arm. He's accurate down the field. But we noticed that Coach Prime doesn't call too many pass plays. But they do have wide receivers. They have this guy named Xavier Weaver and Horn Jr. and Harrison and Travis Hunter. But they run the ball a lot. Why doesn't Coach Prime utilize the entirety of the offense? And then, let's say he keeps trying to run the ball. It's 2nd and 11. He keeps trying to run the ball because he's trying to showcase that his son is a great running back. And then when he does pass the ball, it's usually screen passes to his son because he's trying to highlight his son's, pad his son's stats, being a running back. I'm doing a mind flip here, okay? I know it's hard for you guys to get your head out of Shador because you immediately you think of Shador, you think of Shador Sanders. But in this scenario that I'm painting, Shador is not the son. Alton McCaskill, however you pronounce his first name, Alton McCaskill is Coach's son. So his name is Alton Sanders in this narrative that I'm painting, in this story that I'm telling. Let's go into imaginary world. Alton is Coach Prime's son, and Shador is just a quarterback that was recruited. He has nothing to do with Prime. He's not Prime's son. He's just Shador. Shador McCaskill. That's his last name in this scenario. So as onlookers are looking, as the audience is looking at the games, they're like, okay, this guy Sanders is good, but okay, we get it. But that running back, man, Alton Sanders, man, he's great. They need to block more for him. They need to open up the holes for him. Wouldn't you guys also think that they can also block for Shador so he can pass the ball too? Wouldn't you guys also be outraged and enraged that Colorado is run heavy and they don't pass that much with a quarterback that's good to great? Okay. That scenario that I painted is analogous to what's happening with Colorado. The only difference is it's flipped. The quarterback is the son of the coach, and the son is under the tutelage of his father, and the father is heavily pushing an agenda to erect the son as the top college quarterback to win the Heisman. If not this year, which he won't win it this year, for next year. However, there's talent all around the team. Not just Alton McCaskill, Hankerson, Wilkerson, Dylan Edwards, even Cavassier Smoke. You guys have probably never even heard of him or seen him. This guy was at Kentucky. Scouts deemed him an NFL prospect running back. I want you guys to think about that. He's an NFL prospect running back and he has not yet ran the ball one time. Is it because he just all of a sudden forgot how to be a running back? So call me a hater if you want to. I would advise any running back recruit not to go to Colorado until Shador has left that school. And until you know for sure that Coach Prime is staying there for the long haul. Because if he's not staying there for the long haul, then you're wasting your time thinking that you're going to a Coach Prime-led team. He may not be there that long. So that's where my frustration comes in. My affinity towards any man is not going to cloud my judgment. I know how to pull back. I know how to pump the brakes. I think logically. Everybody on the team deserves a level of dignity and respect. And just because we're all in love with Shador and Prime, that doesn't mean that there's no talent on the team. That doesn't mean that the offensive line can't block. You're not using them entirely for their talent. What you're doing is you're limiting them to just pass blocking, and then when your son gets sacked, it's the offensive line's fault. They don't know how to block. They're horrible. Just like if Alton was Coach Sanders' son, was Coach Prime's son, and then every time he ran, he was only getting like 1 yard a carry, or he'll lose yards. We'll all say, oh my God, this offensive line is horrible. They can't open up holes for him. But then, especially when you become predictable, when the defense knows you're going to run, it's really hard to gain yards. No different than when the defense knows you're going to pass, it's hard to gain yards. This is why people like Jason Whitlock and others, other black people, and you guys want to call us haters, that's why people are coaching they're questioning the coaching acumen of Coach Prime. Like, what common sense coach will continue to do the same damn thing? Everybody in America knows what you're going to do, Coach Prime. And everyone is getting close. It's not even hints. Everyone is on the same page as to your agenda, as to what it is. The only people that don't want to see it are the people that are just emotionally in a trance. And these are the people who are unable to think critically because they're emotionally driven. I was emotionally driven initially. I told you guys that, but I was able to pull back and start to think for myself. I'm like, something's not right here. When you become predictable with the run, people can stop the run. When you become predictable with the pass, people can stop your pass plays. All right? Defensive linemen don't have to worry about gaps anymore. They're going to just rush to get to the quarterback. They're not even worrying about the run. Because they know you're not going to run. So if Alton McCaskill was named Alton Sanders and Coach Prime kept trying to run Alton Sanders through the tackles every down, occasionally he'll try to run a sweep, a toss, some misdirection, but the ball is always in Alton McCaskill's hands. The defense knows, oh, he's going to give the ball to his son, the running back. We know who's going to get the ball. That's what's happening with Shedeur. Oh, we know what's going to happen. He's going to pass the ball with Shedeur. That's his son. You're predictable, Coach Prime. There's no offensive genius to your scheme at all. There's no offensive genius to your scheme at all. You're not tricking anybody. And the only person that I really feel bad for is Sean Lewis, because he's only following your orders. And everyone is pooping on him, saying he needs to be fired. And I was one of them initially. Remember, I told you guys that. But he doesn't need to be fired. The person that needs to go is Coach Prime, because his agenda is totally an agenda that's separate from the team. Separate from the team. He's not about team. He's about self. It's about himself. You know it's about himself because he left his son in the game with 6 minutes remaining, after his son had already got pain injection killers. He got an injection during halftime. Comes out after halftime, still playing. Game is 28-9. 6 minutes left in the game. The game is totally out of reach because you guys didn't even prove that you guys could do anything yet. Yet you leave your son in the game. So who is it about, Coach Prime? Is it about you or your son? I think it's more about you. And that's the sad part that's scared for people to actually comprehend and let it digest. You can't love somebody to the point where you fail to look at things from a logical perspective. You can't just get mad at people for saying things that you don't agree with. Just think about what I just said. Your son, if you're a father, your son is getting injected with painkiller injections so he can play. He's limping the entire second half. It's 6 minutes remaining in the damn game. You're down 28-9. Why is your son still out there taking a beating? Then you have to ask the question, is this man that's the coach of the team, is he about himself, his son, or is he about the team? Well, we could X out the team. It's not about the team. Because if it was about the team, he would not be running the plays he's running, and he would not be throwing his offensive lineman under the bus, and he would not be leaving his son in the game with 6 minutes remaining when the game is totally out of reach. And you know your son is basically playing hurt. He's not injured, because injury means you can't play, but he's playing hurt with a high degree of pain to the point that he has to get painkiller injections. At halftime, not at the end of the game, at halftime. That's to let you know how much this boy was getting beat. So you guys watch the TV, you guys watch it on TV, and you guys think, oh, it's not that bad. You haven't been hit before. You haven't been sacked before. And this is just an accumulation of all the sacks he's been taking all year. It's starting to add up. So every hit he takes is magnified times 10. Not because the hitter hit him that hard. It's because all the hits he's been collecting are starting to wear on his body. So he leaves them in. So is this about you or your son, Prime? It's not about the team. It's not about your son either. I'm going to break it to you. It's not about the son. He could care less. He couldn't care less about his son. I'm not saying he doesn't love his son or he hates his son, but Prime's agenda to say, I was a Heisman winner. I played 2 sports at a high level. I was good at both sports. I'm Coach Prime. I have a brand. I'm a Hall of Famer. I'm great. Hey, how great would it be for me to coach a Hall of Fame son? Not a Hall of Fame son, but coach a son that wins the Heisman. It's about Coach Prime. Son second, team last. Actually, the team's not even on the radar. It's Coach Prime first. He's about himself first. Then it's about his son. Then it's about his son. You know why? And don't give him excuses. You have to go by what people give you, guys. Go by the evidence. People show you who they are. People show you who the hell they are. No. Don't say, oh man, he loves his son. I'm not saying he doesn't love his son. In terms of the team dynamic, in terms of Coach Prime's psychological makeup, oh, no. He's Prime first. He's Coach Prime first. How do I know? Not because I'm a mind reader, I'm a psychic. I'm going by evidence. He showed it to me by the decisions he's making. So when Mr. Whitlock, Jason Whitlock, calls it coaching malpractice, hell yes, coaching malpractice. What the hell are you doing? You leaving your son in the game? For what? Oh, no, man, he's about the team. No, he's not about the team. It's about padding his son's stats. But for his glory. Not for the glory of his son. Because if it was about his son, he would have pulled his son out of the game and say, the son is over. You did the best you could. If your offensive line is so horrible, why the hell are you leaving your son in the game? Did you say they're garbage? They're hot garbage? You need to replace them? Did you say that in an article? Didn't you say that in an article, Coach Prime? That the way to fix it is to replace them. They're disposable. They're nothing to you because they can't protect your son. Oh, it's not that they can't protect your son. They can't protect your narrative. Because your narrative you're trying to build is that I'm a Heisman Trophy winner. No, I'm a Hall of Fame cornerback, one of the best that's ever done it. My name is Coach Prime. I have a brand, and my son's great. But my son's greatness is through me. So if I have a son that wins the Heisman, that's a notch on my belt as well. I have a Heisman Trophy winner as a son. It's about you, Coach Prime. Don't give me that. Please don't give me that BS about, man, you don't know what you're talking about. Man, you just hating. Or you doing this for clicks. I'm not doing anything for clicks. I'm a father myself. I'm not leaving my son in the game. No, I'm taking him out. And as a matter of fact, if my son was getting sacked like that, I'll be like, to hell with this. We're running the ball. I got to protect my son. But if you have an agenda to pad the stats of your son to make a Heisman case, then yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Like, your agenda clouds logic. When you have something that's that much of a priority to you, then yeah, that's going to trump logic. It's going to trump common sense. It's going to trump anything that makes sense. You're going to just go for it. You're hell-bent on getting what you want at all costs, at the cost of your son's health. Hey, man. But I'll make my predictions later. I'll make my predictions, and I'll give you guys the reasons why I'm making my predictions. And you guys feel free to make your predictions as well. Leave a comment. Let me know who you think is going to win the game. It's just the reason why I'm so upset, because I know this team is much more talented than they're showing. And it's not just predicated, it's just the offensive line. If the offensive line was better, then everything would be better. No. That's the narrative that the media wants you to bite. That's what the algorithm is saying. And when you go on YouTube, everybody is talking about how Colorado is trying to get offensive linemen to fix the problem for next year. How the offensive line this, offensive line that. How horrible. And no one is taking into account that Coach Prime is not utilizing the entirety of his talent that's on that team. You have NFL-ready running backs. Kavasier Smoke. Look at what he did at Kentucky. Alton McCaskill. Look at what he did at U of H. He's done. He's redshirted, so we don't have to worry about him anymore. He's done. He's smart. He says, okay, I know this is a wasted year. I'm going to just redshirt. Hankerson and Wilkerson are good backs as well. He doesn't use them. The offensive line are not as bad as people are making them out to be. Because when you are predictable, it's easy to expose the offensive line when you are predictable. Are they a great offensive line? No, I'm not saying that. Are they as bad as people are saying that they are? No. Because there's a happy medium that we have to find. When you're overly predicated on the pass and your offensive scheme becomes very predictable to the defense and great defensive minds that can out scheme you and play chess while you're playing checkers because you want to build your son to this great level of a Heisman Trophy candidate or a Heisman Trophy winner, then you're going to get crushed. This is a lesson to you, Coach Prime, no matter how old you are. And I know everybody believes in you. They use the God and the Bible rhetoric. You're Christian. God is on your side. Look, man, that's hogwash. I'm going to go with what I see with my own two eyes. You're a man like me. You're a man like anybody else. And you're susceptible to temptations as anybody else. And you're susceptible to your own pride and ego as anybody else. I'm telling you right now, Coach Prime, pride comes before the fall. I want you to put your ego in check. Look at your whole team in its entirety. Stop putting your offensive linemen under the bus, because when you're doing that, you're also putting your offensive coordinator under the bus. And he should not be taking any heat right now, because we all know that he's getting his directions to be pass heavy from you. I've already repeated this in other videos, and I'm going to say it again for you guys who are just listening to me for the first time. If you do research on Kent State, the team that Sean Lewis came from, the offensive coordinator, he ran the ball 48% of the time. So he wasn't a pass-heavy guy. He comes to Colorado, and all of a sudden, he doesn't even know how to devise running plays. What happened? You know what happened? Coach Prime happened. You know what happened? Shador happened. You know what happened? Shador is the son of the coach. That's what happened. You put two and two together. The coach is like, no, put the ball in my son's hand. He has to shine. I want us to pass quick. Pass. That's disgusting. That's disgusting. You come to a team and you just abandon everybody else and say, to hell with everybody else. It's about my son and Travis Hunter. You think that team is together? Don't let the media fool you. What glitters is not always gold. That locker room is divided. I bet it is. Not because of the losses. It's the way. See, it's the way you lose that matters. It's the way you lose. It's the agenda behind the loss. Those kids can see the truth. They can't come out and make videos like this because they're still on the team, so they have to be very careful. I don't have anything to lose. I don't play for Colorado Buffaloes. I'm not an athlete. But those players know. They're smart enough to know what's happening. So you guys continue to drink the Kool-Aid from social media about, oh, he needs help. More players are coming to help. Everyone keeps talking about more players are coming to help. Yeah, more players are coming to assist and help Shador, so Shador can shine. Block for him. Keep him protected. I'm gonna tell you this, guys. I'm gonna say this. Next year, I want you guys to go back to this video and call me out on it if I'm wrong, but I'm not gonna be wrong. I'm gonna be accurate. Listen to me. Look at me right now. Because this year is over with. I already think they're going to lose out, but I still want to make my predictions and tell you why I'm making that prediction. If they continue to do what they're doing, they're going to lose out. Next year, after Coach Prime gets his dogs, the dogs that are coming to save the day, when he gets those dogs, because his son's still going to be there next year, so you can expect the same thing to happen. The man cannot be humbled. He's not going to revert to just having a traditional college offense, mixing in run and pass. He's fixated on his son. But he's not fixated on his son. He's fixated on his own personal achievement, on his own personal accolades. Because his son is an attachment to him. The son has the last name Sanders. So if his son can win the Heisman, it makes it puts Coach Prime on another level. He has a Heisman, Coach Prime son. Coach Prime son. Next year, when those dogs come, those great offensive linemen that happen, they're going to come and save the day, either through the portal or through recruiting. If they continue to be a pass-first team, or not even a pass-first, because I don't want you guys to misconstrue when I say pass-first. Because even teams that are pass-first, they still run the ball. That just means that they pass a little more. That's not what Colorado does. They pass a lot more. Overwhelmingly a lot more. Like 90% of the time more. That's very predictable. Very predictable. If Colorado Buffaloes continue on this trend of playing the way they are in terms of the way they play on the offensive side, the defense is okay. If they continue to play the way that they're playing offensively because of the Shador and Prime connection and the narrative that they're trying to paint, expect the same thing. You say, whoa, why? No, they're going to get better offensive linemen. The offensive linemen are going to be able to block for him. You guys are idiots. That's not how football works. Those guys that are rushing, they're athletes too. They're talented too. When you become predictable, no matter how great of an offensive line you have, it compromises the integrity of your offensive line. Because now, because you are predictable, those defensive linemen, they don't have to worry about the run. They don't have to worry about the responsibility of gaps. They just rush. So the same type of pressure that Shador is in this year is going to continue next year. And what are you guys going to say then? Oh, he needs to get better offensive linemen. You guys don't get it. You guys are so fixated on the offensive line narrative. You guys are indoctrinated with that nonsense. It's not about the offensive line, folks. It's about the play calling. I don't care how great your offensive linemen are. If you become predictable and you're one-dimensional, your quarterback is not going to have time to throw the ball. What gives quarterbacks time to throw the ball is play action. Look at Jared Goff in the NFL. They established the run to pass. Shador is such a great quarterback that all you need to do is run first, and then the pass will open up. If you really wanted to pad his stats, that's a smarter way to pad his stats. Focus on running the ball first, and then it'll open up the field. Safeties have to bite in. Travis Hunter and Xavier Weaver would eat those DBs up. Nobody deep, touchdown. You go zone, we can eat that up too. But hey, what do I know, man? It's all about Coach Prime. And Coach Prime is the smartest man on the planet. He knows what he's doing. So continue to pass the damn ball. And then once he gets his dogs and the offensive linemen come, what are you guys going to say then? Because the same thing's going to happen. Those offensive linemen are not bad. It's because they're predictable. If I know what you're going to do, it's easy. It's easy. All I need to do is pin my ears back. I don't need to look around to see if you're going to run. I'm just going to rush. Do you know how much pressure that puts on the offensive line? Any offensive line. That's why Stanford was able to come back against Colorado after being down by 29. You know why? Because they still kept on running the ball. They had to keep the defense of Colorado honest. Colorado couldn't just rush and say, oh, they need to hurry, because Stanford needs a lot of points to come back. So I know they're going to pass the ball on every down. They did do a lot of pass plays, but they also ran too. They put in a couple of runs in there. And in that game, if you look at the box scores, Stanford actually ran the ball more times than Colorado, even though they were the team that was down early, which is amazing to me, which lets you know how much Coach Prime doesn't give a damn about running the ball. You are up by 29 points by halftime, and you're like, F the run. We're going to keep passing because I got to build up my son as a Heisman Trophy candidate. Why does a team who's down 29 run the ball more than you, Coach Prime? That doesn't make any sense. But you guys can't, if Coach Prime was not Coach Prime and Coach Prime was just another coach, another average coach, another African-American coach that just came through the ranks, you guys would be eating him alive. You guys would be eating him up about his inconsistencies, about his ineptitude in terms of play calling. But because he's Coach Prime and he has the swagger and he has all this, you guys are turning a blind eye to what you guys would normally see. You guys are being blinded by the entertainment, guys. You guys are failing to think critically. I'm just here to I'm here to provide that for you. You don't have to agree with everything that I say, but consider it. Just please consider it. You think by getting linemen is going to fix the problem? No, the problem is fixed when you change the philosophy of your team. When you use the talent that you have. He acts like he doesn't have good players in the running back position. That's the part that's alarming to me. This year, I'm like, oh, man, they're going to be good. That's why when I was keeping up with Colorado in the beginning of the year, and I saw these recruits coming, I'm like, wow, okay, Alton McCaskill. Okay, Dylan Edwards, one of the fastest. Oh, they're going to have a running back by committee. They're going to be unstoppable. They got about 3 or 4 good running backs. I was watching Well Off Media. They kept on talking about how they're going to have combination of running backs. They can do everything. They have fast running backs, powerful running backs. It's a combination. They can beat you. It's like thunder and lightning and speed. They have everything. It's running back by committee. So I kept thinking, oh, man. And then they have Shador. This team's going to go. Honestly, I didn't make videos then. People would have thought I was crazy. I thought they would go like maybe 10-2. I thought USC and Oregon would be the games that I just knew that they were going to lose those games. I felt like, okay, those teams are probably a little bit more well-established. TCU was a little scared of me, but I knew they lost a lot of players after that national championship run. That was not the same team that played in the national championship game, so I knew that they had a chance of beating TCU. So when they started 3-0, I was like, okay. But I was still worried. I'm like, they're not using the backs like I thought they would. And that's the part that's angering me. There's another element to your team, Prime. It's not Shador Buffaloes. It's Colorado. What the hell? I'm like, hold on. And then you have the backs. You have the running backs to meet the need of any opponent. If you have opponents that don't know how to tackle, that are slow, Dylan Edwards will eat them up. If you're playing against a team with a good, big, thick defensive lineman that tackle very well, you can use Wilkerson, Hankerson, or Alton McCaskill. Alton McCaskill is like, to me, he reminds me of Adrian Peterson. That's how good he is. I'm not saying he's the same guy, but he reminds me of him. Imagine having Adrian Peterson on your team. Remember Adrian Peterson in college when he played at Oklahoma? Imagine him being on the team. I would go as far as saying this. If Adrian Peterson was playing for Colorado, he wouldn't play. You know why? Because Coach Prime does not want anybody else to shine. He wants his son to shine only. And even when Oliver Miller, whatever his name is, Miller, remember when Miller had that breakout game and everybody was like, oh, where did this guy come from? He's a freshman. He's good. Yeah, he had a breakout game, but Shador still gets to shine because Shador is the one passing him the ball. See, when Shador hands the ball off and the running backs have a great game, Shador doesn't get the credit. The running back gets the credit. The offensive line gets the credit. But now, because he wants his son to get all the credit, and his son's not getting all the credit, he's now slowly throwing his offensive lineman under the bus. Please, Prime, run the effing ball so your offensive line can actually have their morale built back up, that they're doing something positive. Let them get dirty. Let your offensive linemen work. Let them grind. Use them for what they're good for. Coach towards your personnel. We know that pass blocking is not their strength. So why the hell do you continue to pass the ball? If run blocking was not their strength, you wouldn't keep running the ball. But you know what? Run blocking is their strength. If you compare the blocking scheme of the offensive line, if you compare the way they block for the run and the way they block for the pass, they're better run blockers. But the reason why you guys think they cannot run block is because they actually sometimes, which is I don't understand for the life of me why they do this. They'll run Dylan Edwards down the middle. Who the hell runs up? He's thin. He's frail. Very fast. But you don't run a guy like that down the middle. He's a slot guy. Send him out there on the edge, not in the middle. He's not a middle guy. He's an edge guy. So you intentionally run Dylan Edwards down the middle to prove that you don't have a run game, so you can actually justify why you need to pass a lot. Coach Prime is smart when he wants to build his own agenda. He knows exactly what he's doing. He purposely held Alton McCaskill out this season, which was a travesty. The boy has been ready. He wasn't injured. Kavasier Smoke, he's on special teams. He doesn't even run the ball. You guys probably don't even know who he is. Well, if you do know who he is, tell me one time that he's gotten in the game and ran. He's never got a touch. Wilkerson, Hankerson, they don't get the ball enough to get into a rhythm. So I'll make my predictions later, man. But it's just sad the way the way the season is unfolding. They're not a 4-4 team. This team should be 6-2, maybe 7-1. That's what angers me. And I'm not going to blame the offensive lineman for that. I'm going to blame coaching, preferably the head coach. Not the offensive coordinator, not the defensive coordinator, the head coach. The head coach. And you guys need to look at it from that perspective too. Stop talking about, offensive linemen need to come. Because you guys are only feeding the bullshit narrative that he wants you guys to eat. You guys are eating it and digesting it and pooping that ish out. That's ridiculous. How about we start critiquing Coach Prime's coaching schemes? How about we start critiquing Coach Prime's coaching philosophy rather than speaking, reiterating or reverberating his narrative about, I'm going to replace him. I'm getting my dogs. Get your dogs. The same thing's going to happen to Shedeur. When you become predictable, he's going to get sacked a lot. These guys, you're playing for a Power 5 conference now. These guys are good. Not every guy goes to the NFL, but every guy can. They have the ability to if they put in the work. These guys are good. This is not HBCU. This is not Pee Wee football. This is top tier college football. You had 3 out of 4 defensive linemen for UCLA that are NFL prospects. And because of your arrogance and pride, you continue to put Shedeur in shotgun after shotgun after shotgun after shotgun after shotgun. And then when you're so predictable, your son takes a beating. No one questions you of why you're putting him back in the game with 6 minutes left. No one questions you that, if your son is, if you know your offensive line is so garbage and you know you need to replace them, they're trash, everything's all their fault. Everything bad that's happened to Colorado is the offensive lineman's fault. Okay, if they're that bad, why the hell do you continue to pass the ball, Prime? That's the question we should all ask you. Why are you so pass heavy? Why do you keep putting your son in harm's way? Why do you keep putting your son in harm's way? So, that's it, man. I'll make my predictions. However, if they continue to do the same thing, they're going to lose out. So in a way, I'm kind of telling you my prediction, but I'm going to actually detail my predictions. I'm going to give you ifs, but I'm not going to give you 2 predictions of if they do this, they should win. But if they don't do this, they're not going to win. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just give you who I think is going to win and why. And why they're going to win. Whatever team that I pick. All right, so stay tuned for that, guys. All right, thank you guys for listening. Comment below. Just write down who you think is going to win. And just write down why. All right, I'll tell you guys who I think is going to win later on. All right, thank you guys for listening. All right, bye.